In the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.68 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,348 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $45, and the average price of Bitcoin is $10,901. Antiwar.com reports backed by U.S. drone strikes, pro-Saudi troops loyal to the southern Yemeni government attack territory controlled by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula in the nation's southeast near Mukalla. General Faraj al-Bassani, the nominal governor of the province, claimed the army seized the Massini Valley in the course of the fighting. 27 were reported killed, including 8 soldiers and 19 al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula suspects. This area around the port city of al-Mukalla was seized by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula at the start of the Saudi-led invasion of Yemen in 2015. The invasion exclusively targeted Shiite forces and meant the Shiite Houthis could no longer defend the region from the advances of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. It was not until well deeper into the war that pro-Saudi forces started thinking to try to check al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's territorial gains, and even at this point, the group retained substantial territory across rural Yemen, areas not already readily accessible to invading armies.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports all 66 people aboard an Osman Airlines flight in Iran are presumed dead after the passenger plane crashed in the mountainous area Sunday. The ATR-72 aircraft crashed in the Dinah Mountains and disappeared from radar 50 minutes after embarking on a flight from Tehran to the southwestern city of Yasuj, according to an Instagram post made by the airline. A representative for the airline said, "Unfortunately, all the passengers and crew of this flight were killed. The aircraft carries 60 passengers, 2 hostesses, 2 flight safety personnel, and 2 pilots. The flight departed at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday and crashed in Kohangan. 20 rescue teams were dispatched to the crash site, and 1 helicopter was forced to turn back due to poor weather conditions. The public relations chief for Osman Airlines said it would not be possible to confirm all of the deaths until the wreckage is recovered. He said, "Given the special circumstances of the region, we still have no access to the spot of the crash, and therefore we cannot accurately and definitively confirm the death of all passengers of the plane." Multiple flights out of Tehran were disrupted or canceled Sunday due to bad weather stemming from pollution-related fog.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zen Cash. Zen Cash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zen Cash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
Reuters reports a Texas man who survived a deadly domestic attack hatched by his son is pushing the state to grant clemency for the condemned man, although it has never spared a death row inmate solely at the formal request of the victim's family. Thomas Bart Whitaker is set to be put to death by lethal injection on February 22nd for masterminding a 2003 plot near Houston that left his mother Tricia and brother Keith dead and his father Kent with a bullet wound near the heart. In the 31 states with capital punishment, district attorneys make the decision whether to seek the death penalty, balancing the punishment that they consider best serve society with the wishes of the victim's family. In this case, the local Texas prosecutor pursued death, and jurors decided Bart Whitaker deserves to be executed. His father, a 69-year-old devout Christian and retired executive, says if the penalty is implemented, it will only intensify his pain. After a 30-minute meeting with the chairman of the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles in Austin, Kent Whitaker said, "I'm going to be thrown into a deeper grief at the hands of the state of Texas in the name of justice." Whitaker says his son has been a model inmate and has provided letters from death row prison guards to back that up. According to the clemency petition, Kent Whitaker, his relatives, and his wife's family do not want Texas to execute Bart. The panel's decision is due on Tuesday, 2 days before the execution. If it recommends commuting the death sentence to life in prison, Governor Greg Abbott would make the final decision. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
I know I shouldn't, but these muffins are delicious.
And we'll share our favorite recipes later in the hour, but first our guest says don't give in to road rage. Stay calm behind the wheel and coolly plot your road revenge. Danny Preston is a defensive driving instructor who teaches people how to control their temper behind the wheel. Welcome, Danny.
Thanks for having me.
Danny, there's nothing I hate more than getting cut off.
That drives me nuts. I want to scream out my window.
Getting into an argument with a stranger isn't going to accomplish anything but stress you out.
Well, how should you respond instead?
In 1996, some guy gave me the middle finger after I cut him off. I recognized him from TV. That's when I decided to become a defensive driving instructor, developing the skills I needed to eventually be invited on his show as an expert. Now, once you're there, it's just a simple matter of switching out his muffins with the ones you made yourself. How many did you eat?
What? I don't know.
Thank you so much for sharing your tips, Danny.
Danny is not my true name.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. We will take your calls on this President's Day. We'll give you the toll-free call-in line here momentarily where you can call in and join us. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Melanie.
And speaking of President's Day, and there's actually a fairly interesting tax story that we will get into because, Chris, you and I both have different versions of this same sort of tax story. But because it is President's Day or Washington's birthday, whatever the actual official legal name of the holiday is, people call it President's Day. You actually found a list to where, what was it, some kind of college professor group got together and determined who was the best and who is the worst president of all time?
Well, this poll was created by 170 current and recent members of the President's and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association. So these are scholars, Darryl. These are people who know things about things.
About things, yes.
Yes. And
I love it when people know things about things.
I know. And I know just by reading that little short sentence that I should listen to these people, that these people obviously know way more than I do. So I prefer to think of it as Presidential Deification Day.
I wonder where John Hanson ranks on their list. Or are they only listing the presidents under the current Constitution and none of them from the Articles of Confederation?
I think that would be the constitutional presidents, not the previous ones.
Yes.
Under that document that really seriously restricted how powerful federal government could be. It was so weak that they had to change it.
They didn't have to do anything.
Well, they felt they
chose to. And then, and since we mentioned the Articles of Confederation, and I know we touched on education last week, and we found out that Melanie hates teachers more than cops.
I don't know why anybody's surprised by this.
Well, because not all teachers are government employees, and I don't hear stories very often about teachers having killed 1,000 people last year.
Okay, but again, this is the preference from would you rather be tortured by the government for decades or would you rather just take the bullet out? And I can see people coming down on either side, but what I can't see is like taking issue with someone else's preference on that.
Preference?
I mean, given the option, if it's like, okay, we're going to put you in day prison for 18 years,
right,
or we can just kill you right now.
Right, but that has nothing to do with the teacher. That was the issue I had, and I didn't voice up or speak up on it.
Well, the teachers are the wardens of the day prison, so it does.
Right, but there isn't, teachers did not get together and say, we are going to pass legislation that's going to require that children attend public schools. That was not done by teachers. That was done by government. And the teachers, some of whom I do believe, and I've got some friends who are teachers. I got some friends who are teachers who are probably listening to this right now.
If they are, they should call in.
They should.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
But yeah, I find it a stretch. I understand where you're coming from, and that's okay. But you and I will have to agree to disagree on that. That's okay.
When I was in school, I was taught very briefly that there was this thing called the Articles of Confederation, and then there was the Constitutional Convention, and everything was, all rainbows and puppy dogs and unicorns.
Absolutely.
But there wasn't really a whole lot that was taught about the Articles. It was just sort of mentioned in passing.
Very much
and I
so.
think we did sort of get, here's a couple of the quote-unquote failings to where it required unanimous passage of things, and there was no central bank.
Right.
But other than that, it was just like, oh yeah, there was a thing, and then 13 years later, Constitution.
The catchphrase I remember was it was too weak to satisfactorily govern. Therefore, more power had to be vested in the central government.
That's what the Federalists were arguing. But again, we're talking about the presidents that have served since George Washington, and these 170 current and recent members of the Presidents and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association.
You bet. And this story comes to us from CBS News, quite possibly the first CBS News story I've ever brought in. But that's kind of the point. President Trump came in last in an expert ranking of presidential greatness, according to 2018 presidents and executive politics.
You skipped a good bit here explaining how they wound up ranking.
Well, no, that's literally the first sentence in the line in the story. So I'm going to read that first sentence again, and then we'll go on.
Oh, see, since you had mentioned the 170 people, I thought we were just skipping the first sentence.
No. I got to get this out. President Trump came in last in an expert ranking of presidential greatness, according to the 2018 Presidents and Executive Politics Presidential Greatness Survey released by Boise State University on Monday. And I'll skip that sentence we already read. These experts were asked to rank each president on a scale from 0, worst, to 100, best.
So why was it 0 to 100 and not 0 to 45? Because we've only had 45 presidents.
I guess they wanted to allow
because it was a school.
You could do ties, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So, I think what that does is makes the ones they feel are good look better because, wow, you got a 92 on that versus Trump, who got something like a 12 and change.
12.34.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. They basically just wrote down some numbers and put a decimal point.
All right. Make your answers meet this number. Even among Republican respondents, Mr. Trump was still ranked extremely low, earning him the 40th spot for presidential greatness.
Hold on. How does he come in last place and also 40th for great? Those are two different things. 45 presidents. He's either 45th or 40th.
Right. This is amongst Republicans.
Ah, okay.
These Republicans labeled James Buchanan, whose presidency saw the secession of 7 states before the Civil War, as the all-time worst, and George Washington as the best. Coming in first place is, drumroll please, Abraham Lincoln, who scored an average of 95.03 between both Democrats and Republicans surveyed.
Well, he did free some of the slaves, so that was cool.
He did do that. The top 7 presidents have remained the same since the poll was last conducted in 2014.
So where did Lincoln come in amongst the non-Republicans and Democrats? Or are they only polling these professor guys that identify as R&D?
There are no political parties worth mentioning outside of Republicans and Democrats. We have a 2-party system, and it works just fine.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't work just fine at all.
And with that, I agree with you. The top 7 candidates, presidents who remained the same since the poll was conducted in 2014, Lincoln, George Washington, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, Harry Truman, and Dwight D. Eisenhower. So, and it talks a little bit about Obama in this round of questioning. Former President Barack Obama moved up in the rankings to 8th best president, where in 2014 he came in at 18th. Scholars identified as Republican, however, ranked Obama 16th, which is still surprisingly high, I think. Ronald Reagan, who also moved up from his previous ranking, trails behind Obama at 9th place.
Now, I wonder if these scholars identifying as Republican, as CBS calls them, I wonder if they just decided that they really liked all of the drone strikes that Obama did and wound up moving him up the list a little bit because of that.
From a neocon point of view, that's pretty good. And I got to think that if you are going out looking for Republicans in academia who are willing to fill out this survey, that must have meant at least 3, I'm guessing, out of the 170 were probably Republicans. Maybe.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. And who do you consider to be the best and worst and, well, most mediocre president? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition. The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. 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 I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the best and the worst presidents, but I'm really curious. Who do you consider to be the most mediocre president that there have been? Of the 45, who's just the guy that you're like, you have no strong feelings about at all? Millard Fillmore, maybe? Van Buren? I'm just trying to think of, like the most milquetoast of milquetoast presidents. Silent Cal, who Calvin Coolidge, to where just like, oh yeah, he was a thing. We'll get back into the list here in a moment, but something that I actually do have strong feelings about. And I'm not just saying this because they're a sponsor. I'm talking about Zencash. And that's because Zencash has good technology behind it, and the creators are voluntarist. And the word voluntarist or voluntarism appear, from what I've heard, I've not actually read the white paper, but I've heard from people that have, those two words appear a total of 7 times, or variants thereof. So yeah, these are our people. And they've taken some of the best tech and in 2017 created Zencash. They put zero-knowledge anonymity, decentralized autonomous organizations, and other tech in the crypto sphere, and created a secure platform for money and messaging that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. And as of a couple of weeks ago, they have over 6,700 secure nodes, which makes Zencash one of the strongest blockchains in existence. And the wallets, they're available not only on multiple platforms. We're talking Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices, but they're also available in multiple languages. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. So it's Darryl, Chris, and Melanie in studio tonight. Chris, you brought in this story about the 2018 presidential greatness rankings that were compiled by Boise State University is basically who did this in conjunction with University of Houston. I've actually pulled up the results that CBS links over to, and I had asked the question because the CBS article only references Republican and Democrat participants in this survey. Well, they actually make up a minority of the respondents. Republicans were definitely a minority. 21 out of 166. You said 3.
I guess 3, but I'd say I was closer to being right than being wrong.
Yeah. Democrats made up 57%. Independents made up 27%, 45 out of 166.
Now, to be clear, that has to include the Republicans that cannot admit they're Republicans because they work at a major university.
And 5 selected other. So that could be Libertarian, Green, Socialist, Communist, Socialist Workers' Party.
Or Republicans who are afraid to admit that they're Republican because they work at a university.
Well, in theory, the results were anonymized so that they couldn't tie it back and say, aha, Chris, you filled out this survey and answered X.
In
theory.
You believe that?
In theory. That's the way that the surveys are supposed to be done, to where they're not tied to a particular person. So, again, the results showed that Donald Trump came in last place with an average score of 12.34. The tyrant Abraham Lincoln came in first with a score of 95.03. And the top 7 overall, after Lincoln, you had George Washington, FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, Harry Truman, and Dwight Eisenhower. Obama moved up to 8th. Reagan came in 9th. And let me see if I can actually find out who came in 10th. That would be LBJ, Woodrow Wilson, Madison, Clinton, Adams. I'm guessing that is John. Yes, John Adams next. Jackson, JFK, Bush 41. Monroe was the only other one to get a score over 60.
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about Lincoln. Lincoln is our most popular president. So, I mean, for gosh sakes, he freed the slaves, right? What else did he?
That's the theory.
That is a theory. And I'm going to...
Because, now, I will say, he did sign this thing called the Emancipation Proclamation.
He did. That must have been a law, right? Or was that a constitutional amendment, Darryl? I'm a little hazy on this.
That was a thing that we would nowadays call an executive order. And what it said... Well, and I'm giving the short version here of what it said.
But it must have freed all the slaves, right? All the slaves.
All of the slaves...
Where? ...
in the U.S. occupied Confederate States of America. So the slaves in New Jersey weren't freed. So the slaves in Maryland weren't freed. The slaves in Kentucky, even though Kentucky claimed to have seceded,
right,
the U.S. government didn't recognize that they did. So those slaves not freed.
How about was the Kansas and Missouri stuff going on then? I guess so.
No, Civil War was after the whole bloody Kansas thing. Missouri was a slave state, but the U.S. government did not recognize that state as having seceded.
Right. But I think what Darryl brings up, and I'm being more than a little bit tongue-in-cheek, is really important, is this idea that Lincoln freed the slaves.
It would be almost akin to Donald Trump signing an executive order saying that people in Canada aren't allowed to buy maple syrup on Tuesdays following a new moon.
Right. And in Canada, that's the big point, is this was another country. When the country split, it was two countries.
This whole other country.
Right. And you're sitting, and, Lincoln is sitting there saying, no, I don't recognize you. Well, recognize them or not, they had their own government, and they were acting on their own. A little brief book plug, because I've seen this guy speak a couple times, and I've met him. Thomas DiLorenzo is the real Lincoln, if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more. So what about some other things that Lincoln did? Let's see. What else can I think of?
He chopped down a cherry tree and then didn't lie about... Oh, wait, no. That was George Washington.
Now you're confusing me.
And the whole thing of why Honest Abe was called Honest Abe always had something to do with chopping down a cherry tree and George Washington saying, I cannot tell a lie.
Right.
Your calls and thoughts, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Who do you think was the best president? Who do you think was the worst? And who was the absolute most milquetoast?
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Armistice Day was a day dedicated to world peace, a day to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding. This sentiment was lost when Congress renamed the day in 1954, so antiwar.com is reclaiming November 11th as Armistice Day, a celebration of hope and peace. Antiwar.com has been battling the war party for 22 years and has always been on the cutting edge of technology in this fight, having accepted Bitcoin donations for 5 years now. Antiwar.com is diving deeper into the cryptocurrency movement by adding Bitcoin Cash, Dash, and Zcash to its digital currency donation options. And to celebrate, Bitcoin.com has pledged $20,000 in crypto matching funds through December 31st. Help Antiwar.com accelerate into the future with a cryptocurrency donation today.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the best and the worst, and I'm still trying to figure out who everybody thinks is the most mediocre president. 855-450-FREE. There was a survey done of 166 scholars and recent scholars. I don't know what makes one a recent scholar as opposed to a current scholar, but they wound up overall ranking Lincoln as the top-rated greatest president with an average score of 95.03. Washington came in second with a score of 92.59. And again, looking at the ratings here, out of the 44 distinct individuals to hold the office of President of the United States under the current Constitution, Taft came in right in the middle at 22 with a score of 51.96, just 0.06 ahead of John Quincy Adams.
Wow. I'd still like to get back to the whole Lincoln thing because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, the vampire hunter.
Yeah, not a vampire hunter, Darryl, but
I saw that book in the store and then read something on the internet.
You know what I read on the internet? That 1.264 million American soldiers died in the Civil War, and that about the grand total
that combines the
I'm sorry,
U.S. military soldiers plus the Confederate military soldiers.
And I'm incorrect on that. 620,000 died in the Civil War. In all the other conflicts we've had since then, 644,000 have died.
So
Lincoln,
more U.S. soldiers died in the war for Southern secession than died in all other U.S. military conflicts combined.
Almost 620,000 Americans died in the Civil War. 644,000 died in soldiers in all the other wars combined.
Okay.
So if that's your idea of somebody that is deserving of number one, I kind of disagree.
He also gave us legal tender laws.
Legal tender laws, that's a good one.
He wound up having the U.S. Treasury issue money through the Department of the Treasury issuing the greenbacks, and he did that so that he could inflate the currency to pay for the war.
He also favored sending blacks back to Africa.
Yep.
Or I think he had a couple fallbacks like Haiti or someone else.
Yeah, probably some Caribbean island if he could not get them to Liberia.
He was very opposed to the idea of blacks being allowed to become citizens in Illinois. That was one of those things that he fought in the State House against. And,
so he was a racist.
And if anybody's ever seen the movie Gangs of New York, you ever see that?
I've heard of it.
Daniel Day-Lewis
I know
film.
it's a thing.
It was a thing. It was a movie. It was kind of cool.
Daniel Day-Lewis, who played Lincoln.
See how it's all coming together here.
And he was also the last of the Mohicans.
But part of that movie deals with the draft riots in the Civil War. So after, towards the end of the war, or it wasn't towards the end, but Lincoln declares a draft, and that's, by the way, the first draft we've ever had. I believe it was.
Sounds right.
Pretty sure it is. But he basically sent the troops into New York to stop the riots, and you had somewhere between 300 to 1,000 people die when Lincoln literally invaded Manhattan.
He also wound up incarcerating in a military institution, incarcerating enough of the Maryland state legislature to where they could not actually hold a vote on secession.
Oh, and who can forget suspending habeas corpus? That's a great one, right? Isn't it?
I thought that was Bush.
Well, Bush did it. Bush was just copying.
You can do it whenever there's a war, which encourages you to have lots of wars all the time.
So,
or at least one war all the time.
I've heard the term habeas corpus thrown around, and I know that in Latin it means, like show the body. But Melanie, you've got some legal experience. What exactly, does it actually wind up doing?
So kind of a condensed version is it's essentially a motion to release someone from whatever form of captivity, whether that be post-conviction relief or POWs or whatever, because here's my reasons.
Okay, because I've heard people, especially some of the, let's call them constitutional theorists, who think that all you have to do is say the words habeas corpus to a judge and then wave of a wand and then, you're not in jail anymore because you said the words habeas corpus.
I think that those are the same people who think that the IRS, if you tell them magic words, will go away, or that if you tell the cop that you're traveling, not driving, that you won't get arrested.
How's that working out for you? Yeah, a writ of habeas corpus, which we often hear about, and I have to Google this stuff because I don't know it off the top of my head, is a writ requiring a person under arrest to be brought before a judge or into court especially to secure the person's release under lawful grounds, are shown for their detention. So by suspending that, you're basically saying we can hold you without reason.
We can hold you indefinitely,
right?
Because we say we can. So what are some of the other things that Tyrant Lincoln Zombie Hunter did?
God, there's just too many, Darryl. I mean, I'm just going to scroll down this list of 70 or so. He censored all telegraph communication. That was one of those things it was a technology that was up and coming, but he put in government censors to do that. He also illegally, and this is according to DiLorenzo, illegally created the state of West Virginia out of the, quote, indestructible state of Virginia during the Civil War.
Right, because, and I just realized that I did not have the phone screen software pulled up. We do have a couple of calls we'll get to in just a second. But the thing about West Virginia, the claim is simultaneously that the state of West Virginia, or rather the Commonwealth of Commonwealth of Virginia, had seceded, and the state of West Virginia seceded from a state that had seceded and then wound up becoming a state. But yet the U.S. government simultaneously says no state was allowed to secede because secession's not allowed, and we've got this court case about Texas that says that you can't secede. So it's Schrodinger's self-determination, to where you both simultaneously have the right, but you don't have the right, and we say you either have or don't have the right when it's convenient for us.
He was also a big fan of the fugitive slave law, which is interesting. So, that came about prior to Lincoln taking office.
Yes.
I want to say Millard Fillmore. There's a very few things that guy
40s,
ever did.
think.
Right, but that was one of his things.
Yeah.
He proposed to strengthen it, and he had defended slaveholders against, represented them against in a case involving a runaway slave.
Let's go to the phones where we've got Robert calling in from Bellows Falls. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Chris, and Melanie. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I want to say that I agree with you guys that Lincoln was probably the best president we've ever had.
That's not what we're saying. That's what some experts have said.
Experts say that.
All the experts, I apologize. I believe that the worst one is the one that we have now. He turned against all of us.
Yep, that's also what the experts said. So I've got a question for you, Robert. Why do you think Lincoln was the best president that we've had?
Well, because he freed the slaves.
Did he?
Actually, he didn't, and we already talked about how the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to territory that was in the Confederate States that the U.S. military had already occupied.
But
we'll hold you over. We'll hold you over because, I'm curious why people think that Lincoln was this great, wonderful president that did all of the things he didn't actually do.
He deify him.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's President's Day, so of course we're talking about who are the best and who are the worst, and, well, who do you consider to be just the most mediocre president that there has been under the current Constitution, going back to the presidency of George Washington. We'll continue with Chris. You've got a list of some of the absolute horrible things that the Tyrant Lincoln, who ranks number 1 according to some scholars, you've got a list of some of that we'll get back into in just a moment. But I want to tell you about a home security system that you can actually wind up getting delivered right to your front door. And we're talking about a wireless system here, to where you've got some wireless cameras. You set those up, and then you download an app onto a smartphone or a tablet, and then it walks you through a setup that is fairly easy. And even with a complicated router setup, and if you're not technically inclined, you should be able to go through this in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then you can either get notified whenever something moves in front of, again, the wireless cameras, or you can just take a look whenever you want to on your phone or that other mobile device. And have we got a deal for you? You get 3 Blink security cams for what the other guys would charge for 1. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. That's blinkprotect, all one word, blinkprotect.com/FTL, as in Free Talk Live. One more time, blinkprotect.com/FTL. Chris, what are some other horrible things that Lincoln has done? And then we will go to the phones, 855-450-FREE.
Well, I mean, there's so many to choose from, but, besides ignoring the 9th and 10th Amendments, which pretty much he did throughout his entire presidency. The 3rd, the 1st, the 5th, the 6th,
the
so
4th.
on and so on. He illegally blockaded ports. He illegally declared martial law. He invaded the South without consulting Congress, and that's an issue that we still have to today.
Right, and I think the reason he did not consult Congress is because it would have wound up being de facto recognition of the independence of the Confederacy.
Yeah, and on an economics level, he was very much a fan of the labor theory of value, so much more in line with the likes of Karl Marx.
Let's go to the phones where we've got Doug calling in from Philadelphia. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Chris, and Melanie. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. Doug Sittel, Sittel, in my YouTube upload number.
We know all about you and your YouTube channel, and we have warned you numerous times that you're not allowed to call in to mention that. Thank you for the call.
What a shame.
Not really at all.
Okay.
A thank you for the call, nor is it a shame. So let's continue on here.
Let's talk about Washington. He came up number 2.
Yeah, so again, Lincoln, number 1 with a score of 95.03. Washington, 92.59. FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, both with scores over 80. Thomas Jefferson, 79.54. Truman at 75.15. Eisenhower, then Obama with a 71.13. The only other president getting above a 70.
Well, let's talk about Washington, because you can't come up with anything bad to say about George Washington, right?
Whiskey Rebellion.
Ooh, what's the Whiskey Rebellion? I like whiskey. Melanie, you like whiskey?
Not anymore.
She's sober.
Not anymore. Had your whiskey moments, but okay. What's the Whiskey Rebellion?
Whiskey Rebellion was this thing that happened in western Pennsylvania, to where Washington decided that after leading a rebellion in opposition to taxes, that he decided he kind of liked them and imposed a tax on whiskey.
And that was the first tax imposed on a domestic product.
And there were some farmers.
By the newly formed federal government. But that must have been a long time after, we ratified the Constitution in 1789.
No,
he
just
wasn't
a couple of months.
in office a long time.
8 years. He did 8 years. He set the precedent for a president to serve 2 terms.
That's not long enough time to fight a war over something, think about it philosophically enough to then fight the war in the opposite direction.
He waited 2 years. He waited 2 years, and then the Whiskey Rebellion only went on for 3 years.
In his defense, he did become president several years after the war wound up ending, because we had this period of time with the aforementioned Articles of Confederation that were just way too weak. But then he wound up getting elected president, decided taxes are all right when I wind up implementing them.
Yeah, but
some farmers decided, we're not paying your tax. And he said, yeah, well, I've got an army that says you will.
Yeah, it was more than a couple farmers, too. This was a big deal because, of all the distilled spirits that were available. So you had rum that came out of the Caribbean, and you had, different distilled gin from England and things like that. American whiskey was like the favorite thing, and they slapped a tax on it, and it was just not pretty. So you have... What's the natural response? Say, okay, well, maybe we'll get together and let's talk about this and see if we can find some middle ground. Is that what he did?
No, the middle ground
that's not
was
what governments
you're
do.
going to do what we say, And if you don't, then, well, here's a bayonet and a musket that says you will.
So instead he sent in 13,000 militiamen provided by the governors of Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania to go out there and quell this domestic disturbance that was going on, because
it's just a domestic dispute.
People were not happy with just fighting a war about taxation, amongst other things, and then having the government come down and tax their favorite adult beverage, their favorite libation.
It's almost like fighting a war to overthrow a state just to form another state is just a waste of time.
I've got another horrible thing that Washington did.
Go ahead.
3 words: smallpox blankets.
I heard they were comfortable. You mean blankets that were infected with smallpox?
Yes, that he then distributed to Native Americans.
He himself had distributed, I imagine.
Yes. Well, he definitely oversaw the distribution, whether or not he actually physically handed the blanket or not.
Right. Well, another thing, I mean, you don't get to be number 2 on the greatest presidents of all time if you had slaves, right?
He had slaves.
Oh, Darryl, you're destroying my vision of that grandfatherly look on his face.
All
in
right,
that
well,
famous
hold on.
Picture.
Let's go to number 3. Somebody that Donald Trump would not like, because this man never stood for the national anthem. Talking about FDR.
He did create internment camps, though.
Do we got that one right, or are we on TR?
No, FDR was number 3. Teddy was number 4.
Oh, I stand corrected. All right, so we got
something FDR did not do.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt single-handedly, by himself, with one arm tied behind his back, saved us from the Great Depression.
76 years ago, he opened internment camps for Japanese Americans.
Darryl, you're just throwing out conspiracy theories. So he...
The U.S. Supreme Court upheld that in the Kiramatsu decision.
Blah, 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 blah. Fake news. All right, so he single-handedly, with one arm tied behind his back, saves the country from the Great Depression.
No, he did not.
And wins World War II, defeating the evil Japanese and Hitler, all in one fell swoop.
No.
You guys are just seriously bumming me out. I'm so disillusioned.
The war actually extended the Great Depression because it wound up causing, all sorts of resources to be used to build things that go boom. And, well, I guess if you're a Keynesian and you think that destruction winds up stimulating the economy, then sure.
It is.
Building things that only go boom to where you then have to build new things. It does wind up creating labor.
It is sort of the ultimate broken window. But let's talk a little bit about what the government, how the Great Depression came about. We had this booming economy going up to the roaring 20s.
Yep.
And we had a newly created Federal Reserve that was just flush with cash, pumping money into the system.
Thank you, fractional reserve banking.
Were borrowing money to then invest in stocks and bonds. What could go wrong?
A run on the banks, because the money that was supposedly backed by gold wasn't actually backed by gold, because fractional reserve banking. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.68 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,348 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $45, and the average price of Bitcoin is $10,901. Antiwar.com reports backed by U.S. drone strikes, pro-Saudi troops loyal to the southern Yemeni government attacked territory controlled by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula in the nation's southeast near Mukalla. General Faraj al-Bassani, the nominal governor of the province, claimed the army seized the Massini Valley in the course of the fighting. 27 were reported killed, including 8 soldiers and 19 al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula suspects. This area around the port city of al-Mukalla was seized by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula at the start of the Saudi-led invasion of Yemen in 2015. The invasion exclusively targeted Shiite forces and meant the Shiite Houthis could no longer defend the region from the advances of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. It was not until well deeper into the war that pro-Saudi forces started thinking to try to check al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's territorial gains, and even at this point, the group retained substantial territory across rural Yemen, areas not already readily accessible to invading armies.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports all 66 people aboard an Osman Airlines flight in Iran are presumed dead after the passenger plane crashed in the mountainous area Sunday. The ATR-72 aircraft crashed in the Dinah Mountains and disappeared from radar 50 minutes after embarking on a flight from Tehran to the southwestern city of Yasuj, according to an Instagram post made by the airline. A representative for the airline said, "Unfortunately, all the passengers and crew of this flight were killed. The aircraft carries 60 passengers, 2 hostesses, 2 flight safety personnel, and 2 pilots. The flight departed at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday and crashed in Kohangan. 20 rescue teams were dispatched to the crash site, and 1 helicopter was forced to turn back due to poor weather conditions. The public relations chief for Osman Airlines said it would not be possible to confirm all of the deaths until the wreckage is recovered. He said, "Given the special circumstances of the region, we still have no access to the spot of the crash, and therefore we cannot accurately and definitively confirm the death of all passengers of the plane." Multiple flights out of Tehran were disrupted or canceled Sunday due to bad weather stemming from pollution-related fog.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
Reuters reports a Texas man who survived a deadly domestic attack hatched by his son is pushing the state to grant clemency for the condemned man, although it has never spared a death row inmate solely at the formal request of the victim's family. Thomas Bart Whitaker is set to be put to death by lethal injection on February 22nd for masterminding a 2003 plot near Houston that left his mother Tricia and brother Keith dead and his father Kent with a bullet wound near the heart. In the 31 states with capital punishment, district attorneys make the decision whether to seek the death penalty, balancing the punishment that they consider best serves society with the wishes of the victim's family. In this case, the local Texas prosecutor pursued death, and jurors decided Bart Whitaker deserves to be executed. His father, a 69-year-old devout Christian and retired executive, says if the penalty is implemented, it will only intensify his pain. After a 30-minute meeting with the chairman of the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles in Austin, Kent Whitaker said, "I'm going to be thrown into a deeper grief at the hands of the state of Texas in the name of justice." Whitaker says his son has been a model inmate and has provided letters from death row prison guards to back that up. According to the clemency petition, Kent Whitaker, his relatives, and his wife's family do not want Texas to execute Bart. The panel's decision is due on Tuesday, 2 days before the execution. If it recommends commuting the death sentence to life in prison, Governor Greg Abbott would make the final decision. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Hollywood's biggest stars are rallying for a good cause this week with the Save Our Children campaign. Celebs like Jessica Simpson, Brad Pitt, and Gwyneth Paltrow headlined a charity event to help their suffering kids who desperately need a chance to live a normal life. Angelina Jolie talked to Starfix about the charity, saying, quote, "You don't have to be a mother to want to help my children, many of whom are not getting a proper education. If you look at the numbers, 1 in 5 of my children will struggle with drug problems." Joining us now is a representative from the charity, Julie Harrison. Julie, it was such a great cause.
Absolutely. We're talking about children who don't have any positive role models. They're born into a life they didn't ask for, and if the state's not going to step up and help these kids, it's time someone did something.
Here's a quote from Victoria Beckham, and I found this powerful. "It breaks my heart to think about these kids living somewhere in my house with no hope for a happy future. Who knows if they even have food to eat?" Julie, according to your group's website, a staggering number of STARS children are being exploited growing up without parents.
Right.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Chris.
And Melanie.
And because it is President's Day, Chris, you actually wound up finding a list of, according to 166 current and recent members of the Presidents and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association. So people that are scholars, as chosen by this group, wound up voting, and they decided that Lincoln was the greatest president.
Despite killing somewhere, starting a war. Well, some would argue that by not allowing the South to peacefully secede, which they did, they just said, we're no longer part of you. We came to this party voluntarily, and now we're leaving. So Lincoln declares war on them.
This is a list of greatness, not a list of peacefulness. And if you look at all sorts of emperors and kings across the globe throughout history, most of the ones that had the word great somewhere in their name wound up doing some horrible thing.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great conquered how many places and killed how many tens of thousands of people?
No idea. But big numbers, yeah, and that's kind of where
it's great for the winner. It's not great for anybody else. It's not great for individual liberty.
No.
Now, if this list were being conducted by, say, libertarians, then, well,
you probably
how do you rank nobody?
Yeah, I was going to say it would be an interesting list.
Actually, I think William Henry Harrison, who, according to this list, is 42nd, meaning that only 2 are considered to be worse than him. I would have to rank him as the greatest president
That's
in
my
American
human's
history.
favorite president.
He's very popular in libertarian circles.
Because as president, he did three things. He gave a speech, he got the flu, and then he died.
Yep. Sort of the can do no harm.
William Henry Harrison, as a person, not a libertarian hero by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not.
But
not
as
at all.
president,
But if you got to pick one.
yeah, if you've got to pick one, as president, he did the least harm.
He's still not even, right, he did the least harm. He's still not even necessarily the morally least worst because we don't know what he intended to do. He could have been like, I'm going to kill everyone, but then he died.
That's why I said, as a person, not a libertarian hero, but as a president, he did not really do any harm.
Yep. So we talked about Lincoln, we talked about Washington, and we talked about some of the things that occurred during their presidencies, and we were just starting to talk about FDR, and the two things that always come up are the Great Depression and this myth that he solved it. He got us out of the Great Depression, when in reality, it went on for decades, much longer than any. They didn't even call them depressions until that one occurred. When we had a period of financial troubles, it was generally very localized in a certain region, and they were referred to as panics, and they only lasted about 2 years on average.
Right, and the panic of, 1920 or 1921 lasted about 6 months?
Yeah, because the government didn't really do anything.
Right,
and
they
was
didn't take
real...
these quantitative easing measures.
Right, and there were a lot of things that governments have tried to do, and what when we had the Great Depression, first of all, it didn't start under FDR. It started under Hoover.
Right. That's why some of the tent cities were called Hoovervilles.
Hooverville, and newspapers were called Hoover blankets. But he ran on a platform, and Hoover's first response was, because Hoover really wanted to try this out, Hoover's idea was this: it's like, let's throw lots of money into big, huge public projects. And if we get lots of federal tax money flowing in, then people can work for the federal government, and they'll have money, and that'll reinvigorate the economy, which is classic Keynesianism.
Yep.
And
we're going to pay you to dig a ditch.
It failed.
And tomorrow we're going to pay you to fill it in.
Yeah. So that failed horribly, and FDR ran on the promise that he would not do what Hoover was doing, because that clearly wasn't working.
But he wound up doing much more of it.
He doubled down, and he created the New Deal, which was economically one of the most devastating things that's ever occurred to our country.
Still feeling the effects of that today.
Yes, and we still deal with government bureaucracies that were set up under FDR.
But they were only temporary.
Right. And they were, like Social Security it's a temporary program that's going to go away shortly here.
Yep.
The temporary Ponzi scheme, and it's still going on today.
Just like there was the telephone tax that wound up being implemented, only applied to long distance, that was supposed to pay off the Spanish-American War or help fund the Spanish-American War, that wasn't repealed until sometime within the last 5 years.
Yeah, there's so many issues that we could go into the economics of Roosevelt's policies, and it basically comes down to this: he was very much a proto-Keynesian. He loved the idea of government jumping in with both feet and solving problems. This was during the age of very much intellectualism, the idea that we could get the right experts, the smartest guys on the planet, into a room and they could just figure all this stuff out, which is really centralization, and that never works.
I think it's funny that the socialists thought that FDR wasn't, big government enough.
Yeah, that was it. They didn't do enough, didn't spend enough money, didn't throw enough into it.
Now, let's keep in the Roosevelt family tree and move to the fourth-ranked president on this list, and that would be good old Teddy Roosevelt, who did no wrong. We give little stuffed animals to children that are named after this guy. What could he have possibly done that was horrible, Chris?
Well, he wasn't the actual first, but I would say he oversaw the beginnings of American imperialism. The idea that we should...
I would say that was Jefferson, who's number 5 on the list.
Right. But through most of the 1800s, we didn't do a lot of vast expansion overseas.
True.
Teddy, on the other hand, he ramped it up. And how did Teddy come into power?
With a big stick.
That's one way.
He spoke softly and carried a big stick.
I got to Google this. I want to get it right. But I think after we were just talking about Harrison, I believe...
Yeah, McKinley wound up dying.
McKinley died. That's who it was. Who, according to some genealogy my family did, I'm somehow related to President McKinley.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
Which means that somehow we're related because all of the presidents are related some kind of way, and I'm related to Madison.
Yeah. But Theodore Roosevelt definitely was...
And something that's interesting from a election standpoint, Roosevelt has the distinction of being the only president to, after having served some terms and then saying, vote for this other guy, then running against him, and then, as not a Republican or Democrat, finishing second in the election.
Yeah. Yeah, that came a little bit later, but I think the two things that I think of when I think of Theodore Roosevelt, first of all, American imperialism and the rise of progressivism, and this is going to drive Republicans nuts, but this is the absolute truth, and you need to understand this.
Yeah, the Bull Moose Party.
Well, even before the Bull Moose Party, the idea of progressivism, which we now associate with, people like Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, and go down your list of favorite Democrats to hate. This started with Theodore Roosevelt and his involvement in the progressive era. So,
right, and Republicans nowadays will probably flip their lid if they were to realize that the Republican Party at one time was the progressive party in the United States.
He championed his square deal, domestic policies, promising average citizens fairness, breaking of trust, regulations of railroads and other companies, pure food and drugs. All these things came about under his careful watch.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
You've heard of Bitcoin Cash, but did you know there's now a Bitcoin Cash wallet? The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the crown, not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome. Who do you consider to be the best president of the United States? Who do you consider to have been the all-time worst president? And I'm still wanting someone to tell me who is just the most mediocre. 855-450-FREE. We're going through a list here of the greatest presidents according to 166 scholars who are current or former members of the Presidents and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association, who wound up doing the Presidents and Executive Politics Presidential Greatness Survey that was released by Boise State University.
Me. Hey, quick, where did...
You're the most mediocre president?
No. Where did President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho show up on this list?
Not a real president.
I think if you would have compared him to this list...
President Cheeto came in last, with Buchanan coming in next to last, William Henry Harrison 42nd, Franklin Pierce, who is beloved in the Granite State from where we broadcast, came in 41st with a ranking of 23.25. Andrew Johnson came in 40th. Harding, Fillmore, Tyler going up to 37. Hoover, who we talked about a good bit, was 36th.
Well, I got to say,
there have been, according to the White House, 45 presidents, but that counts the one guy twice. Who was it? Grover Cleveland, that had the two non-consecutive.
Possibly.
So, he's counted as having been two distinct presidents, even though it was the same guy. So 44 distinct individuals, 45 different presidencies. We'll get back into the list here in just a moment. But something that libertarians have been asking for and trying to build for years is a directory of liberty-minded businesses. Well, we here at Free Talk Live, we're helping build one. And you can be helping build this thing, too. Talking about liberty.menu. It's a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, kind of like how Yelp works. But there's also a bit of a social networking aspect where you can actually connect and share with other members. And use of Liberty.menu, unlike Yelp, is limited to individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu and use code FTL after you sign up, or maybe you've already got an account. There in the activity code section, put FTL, as in Free Talk Live, FTL, and then you get a special badge. That's Liberty.menu.
And I was just going to put in my plug again for President Camacho. I truly believe that Idiocracy, the movie, what we think is a movie, is actually a time-traveling documentary.
From the future.
From the future, and it will be Camacho in my book. But we've been talking about FDR, and heck, what did he show up? Number 3, number 4? Number 4, right?
FDR was number 3. Teddy was number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about Teddy now, the other Roosevelt.
The other Roosevelt, the one who spoke softly and carried a big stick and wound up using eminent domain to wind up seizing a bunch of land and then putting it under the control of the United States government.
Yeah, vast expansion of the idea. He came up with the idea of national parks, so everybody remembers him as such a great, for his conservatism, conservationism, and creating the national park system. The problem is now we have states like Nevada that's 80+% owned by the United States. The state of Oregon, where I grew up,
Well, can't really be owned by the United States.
54% allegedly.
The United States federal government says this is our land.
Yeah, they say that.
Right.
You are not allowed to do on this land what we say you're not allowed to do. It is ours.
They say that too, yeah.
Roosevelt.
They can throw you in a cage if you do
But if I
things
just
that
sit here and I'm like, there's a house on the shore of California, I own it now. Like, I can say that. That doesn't make it true.
Right, but
Can
they
you back
actually
it up with
back
force?
it up with force.
Well, you can't really back up a moral claim with force. You can back up an occupation with force.
Well, they call if you put up signs all over a certain section of land and then you occupy it with some of your employees, some of which who are armed, and there's lots more armed people that can come to your aid. Does that meet your definition?
That's relevant to who's going to be on the property. It is entirely irrelevant to ownership.
Right, and this seems to be getting off onto a completely different discussion about whether or not one can actually own land, which is not at all the discussion we were trying to get.
Okay, but
Roosevelt responsible for 230 million acres of public lands being seized, 150 million acres set aside as national forest.
Well, none of this can be controversial. Oops, I forgot that whole Bundy Ranch thing.
And the Malheur
thing.
That was, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah. 2 cases where U.S. citizens stood up against the federal government for what they believed were injustices.
Yep. The Malheur situation, that was a federal bird reserve.
Yep.
Roosevelt, also the first president to create a federal bird reserve.
Yeah, and in both those cases, as most of our listeners know, the U.S. government loses in court in both those cases. So that's good news. The other thing that one of the things that, and I'm going to plug this book one more time, Theodore and Woodrow by Judge Andrew Napolitano. Most listeners are probably familiar with him. But he wrote a book that talked about the rise of American progressivism and talks a lot about how this Republican, Theodore Roosevelt, was the one who really got progressivism going. So, no, it's not just Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama. This whole mess that we deal with to this day started out under Republicans. The other thing I would say is
go ahead.
His use of the Sherman Act. And if you're not familiar with the Sherman Act, that was an antitrust act.
Yep.
The idea was to bust up these trusts. And the way the word trust was used back in those days meant corporations.
Yes.
That meant that, these corporations are getting too big and too powerful. So we're
so
gonna...
AT&T
Yep.
Who
Well,
only wound up getting big and powerful. I realized that wasn't busted up by Roosevelt,
Right.
but a good example nonetheless, to where AT&T only wound up getting big and powerful because of government monopolies that were granted to them, and then the federal government says, hey, wait a second.
Right.
You're too big here.
And the problem with antitrust in general is it's government picking winners and losers. It is punishing success. And that's what Theodore Roosevelt wanted to do. And he had a whole bunch of cronies in the back room going, hey, if you bust up Standard Oil, that's going to be good for my business, and that's going to be great for your campaign contributions.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE will tear down the myth of Jefferson here in just a moment. Plus, again, your thoughts. 855-450-FREE.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com. Virtual care anywhere.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live.
Wait till you hear the least popular girl's name for 2004. We'll start with Rack. Rack. Crumpet.
Well, Crumpet's kind of funny.
Someone named their little girl Willie. Cannelloni. Cannelloni. Lasagna. Tasty. And Biff. Yeah, Biff. The least popular name. the least popular name.
These of are all made up, folks.
I don't
not
care.
believe this nonsense. This is not news.
I don't care. I haven't laughed this much all week. This may be my favorite. Rumpy Pumpy. Now, how could you think that one up? I mean, if you were faking this list, I could understand that you could fake Donald Duck or Scrooge or Pork. But how do you think of Rumpy Pumpy? Rumpy Pumpy. R-U-M-P-E-P-U-M-P-E-E. Rumpy Pumpy.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about some of the best and worst presidents and talking about the worst of the best presidents. It'll all make sense here in a moment when we start tearing apart the mythology of Thomas Jefferson, because, well, he came in fifth on this ranking of greatest presidents put out by some scholars in conjunction with Boise State University and University of Houston. Again, we'll get back into this in just a moment. But maybe you want to interact, but you're too shy to call in. Well, you can interact with us on the forums over at forum.freetalklive.com. There are all kinds of categories and whatnot on the forums. Or there's also what seems to be much more popular these days, the Discord. Go to discord.freetalklive.com to find that. I think Chris and Melanie, you're both in there. I created an account and then realized, yeah, this is basically just a chat room that seems to be going constantly. Ain't nobody got time for that, so I'm not really. I don't think I've logged into it.
You don't. Okay,
days.
so like Walmart's open 24 hours, but I can shop at Walmart without being at Walmart.
Right, but people don't tag you in comments at Walmart all the time. Melanie,
so
respond to this.
People can email you or even send you a letter at any time. That doesn't mean you can't just wait till you're ready to read emails. I mean, you're acting like this will make you be in a chat at all times.
My issue with Discord is these guys, there's so many of them, and they are such good friends of the show, and there's a running commentary that just goes start to finish. I can't keep up with it. So I I'm always like scrolling back, seeing what I trying to see what I missed. So if you're in Discord and you're trying to get our attention,
or you can search,
we don't respond.
I mean, you can search for where you're tagged.
I should do that. But yeah, it does make it a little bit challenging. But
yeah,
I appreciate everybody.
But it's a thing, and it's popular. Discord.freetalklive.com. Again, the greatest president, and we're not going through the entire list of all 44. We're stopping with Jefferson here as far as breaking down the myths surrounding their greatness. Again, the study conducted among 166 current and recent members of the President's and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association, who put out their 2018 Presidential Greatness Survey. Again, number 1 was Lincoln, number 2, Washington, FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, Jefferson, number 5. Now, Chris, what are all of the wonderful things that Thomas Jefferson did? Because a lot of libertarians look up to Thomas Jefferson as if he were just, kind of like libertarian Jesus.
Well, I am convinced we're not
because he said a lot of really good things.
We are not going to find anything wrong with Thomas Jefferson.
Louisiana Purchase.
Darryl. Let's start off.
Wars.
Let's start off with some of the things that he is well known for.
Repealing the whiskey tax that George Washington wound up sending the military to enforce.
Okay, well, the first thing I think of when I think of Thomas Jefferson was the drafting of the Declaration of Independence. And this is not something that happened when he was a president, albeit, and we're not talking about that, but I think the Declaration it's one of those quintessential documents of liberty.
I will say one very nice thing about Thomas Jefferson. He was one hell of a philosopher.
I can see that, yeah. I would agree with that assessment.
He wasn't so good about putting his philosophy into action.
Yeah, and that's where things kind of...
And
the story...
Since you plugged a book, I will plug a book.
Oh, go ahead.
Davi Barker wrote the book Authoritarian Sociopathy several years ago. And he talks about why it is that people like Thomas Jefferson, who were brilliant philosophers, weren't actually able to put their philosophy into practice. And there are tons of experiments that show that this happens time and time again. Even when people are randomly assigned to positions of power, it winds up going to their head.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what Thomas Jefferson faced. So, and I'll throw out one more book plug. I know I don't have one for everything, but sometimes I do. But the book Jefferson by Albert J. Nock. This came out, I think, in the 1920s.
Another thing that Thomas Jefferson, very well known for, he wrote his own version of the Bible. And by wrote his own version, I mean he edited the Gospels into a version of the Bible.
Yeah. So, hey, you don't like the one you got, go ahead and edit it down and come up with some other things. So, of course, one thing that we will always talk about with a lot of our presidents or our early presidents is slavery and what was their position. Jefferson spoke out, again, great philosopher, spoke out against the institution of slavery. He was vocal about it, yet he owned slaves. I've been to Monticello, and it's an interesting place to visit, but there's slave quarters there, and there's a whole lot of history about what different buildings were built by his slaves and things like that. Evidently, it wasn't a racist thing with Thomas Jefferson because he ended up having some descendants through some of his slaves too.
Correct.
So,
and you mentioned the slave quarters at Monticello. There's also slave quarters at the White House.
Well, there you go. Otherwise, they wouldn't call it the White House. Is that what you're saying?
No. They call it the White House because it's white. The slave quarters are the Decatur House.
Yes. And fun fact, I used to work for a paint company years ago, and we actually provided the paint for the White House.
Interesting.
You know how paint colors, everything has a name?
Yes.
Do you know what the name of the white for the White House is?
I am going to say that it is not Frappuccino Froth.
It is not.
And I only know that name because I used to work hospital security, and one of the jobs was to write tickets, and there was this automobile of some sort that looked white, so I wrote white, and the nurse came and tried to dispute the ticket because I didn't write Frappuccino Froth as the color. She paid thousands of dollars extra to get this
Frappuccino Froth on
particular shade of white. I'm going to go with eggshell.
It was actually called Whisper.
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 Okay.
The
that
color
sounds like
of the
it
White
could be a
House.
CIA program.
I prefer to call
probably
him Jeff
is
Hardy.
a CIA program.
Yeah. So let's talk about some pirates. I know you know something about this, and this involves Jefferson, but, the United States didn't really start off with a standing navy until somebody we already talked about. That came about under Washington.
Yeah.
Washington was the president.
It's in the Constitution that the Navy...
It does talk about the Navy, but
you mentioned Napolitano, who famously, or maybe not so famously, depending on who you ask, once said during a discussion, "Who says we even need a Navy?"
Yeah. Our founding fathers were very much against the idea of a standing military, and they frequently said standing army.
Well, it's mentioned in the aforementioned Constitution that appropriations shall not be made for more than 2 years.
Right.
Which was to prevent a standing army, but yet we've got this thing called the National Defense Authorization Act that winds up getting passed every year to appropriate funds for the military for the coming year.
Yeah. So one could argue that, wow, that's a rare example of the U.S. government acting constitutionally.
Yeah, but totally in violation of
I know, but just that
spirit.
one little thing for those constitutionalists out there, they can say in this one very narrow example, our government may come close to following the Constitution.
Yeah. And then a lot of stuff, say, First Amendment violations. Well, Congress didn't actually pass this thing. It was a regulation by some other entity, so therefore technically in line with Congress shall make no law because Congress didn't pass it. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, some tax story about cryptocurrencies.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA-packed technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
The answer to being in control of your own healthcare is freedom from insurance. Become part of a group of self-pay patients that come together to share in each other's medical expenses. Individual share amounts begin at $107 a month and $347 for families. Choose from 3 health-sharing programs. Holistic treatments may be eligible for sharing. See guidelines. Discount programs available for dental, vision, and pharmacy. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
on the calendar. Now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What am I being
detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. That's 855 450 3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl, Chris,
and Melanie.
And we're talking about the greatest and the worst parts of the greatest presidents because it's President's Day. And there was a study released by...
Okay, this is not a study.
Okay, a survey.
Or a...
Yeah,
Sorry,
this is not quite to the level of a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah. survey conducted by Boise State University in conjunction with the University of Houston, where they had 166 current and recent members of the President's and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association give scores on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best. And here's the list of 44 men that have
you're not
been
going to list all
president.
of them?
I'm not.
Thank God.
But here's the list of the 44 men. Give them all a score, 0 to 100, and then we're going to average those scores. Lincoln wound up getting an average of 95.03, Washington 92.59, FDR 89.09, Teddy Roosevelt 81.39, which based on the scoring system they had where I went to school, that would have been a B. Thomas Jefferson wound up getting a C with 79.54. Now, if they round it up to 80, then maybe he gets a B, depending on what sort of rating they do there. And Jefferson is the president we're talking about right now.
Yeah, and we keep trying to talk about pirates because, heck, who doesn't like pirates? And, there were pirates along the Barbary Coast of Africa that were American
pirates, not good. The pirates weren't Americans.
They were not Americans, but prior to the American Revolution, American merchant ships were sort of protected by the British when they passed through those waters.
Yes.
When we kind of said, to hell with you, Great Britain, and went our own way, the British kind of said, well, to hell with your ships.
Right.
And they kind of left us alone, and we started to lose ships to them. So
now, instead of the merchants actually, arming themselves heavily to protect themselves, they called, Tommy, we need your help.
Yeah, which is what happened. So, again, now the United States, we've only had a couple presidents at this point. We're on our third. And we have a standing Navy, thanks to George Washington. He was the one who petitioned Congress to give us a standing Navy. So in the first real use of U.S. military naval force, we sailed to the Barbary Coast and defended our American merchants over there, and promptly lost one to capture.
It wasn't just the Navy. It was also the Marines. And they loved this so much, they put a reference in their song, The Shores of Tripoli.
Right. I guess the other big thing that happened under Jefferson, I tend to think of as the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah, he wound up putting the United States into empire mode.
And if I don't see that in the article I have pulled up, but there was a tremendous amount of government debt involved, too. In other words, when we bought the Louisiana Purchase for what, about 10, I got to find the exact numbers here.
Nearly $10 million for 40,000 square miles of what is listed on Wikipedia as tropical territory. I never knew that the Dakotas were considered tropical territory.
Come to tropical Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and your next vacation.
Come to tropical Billings, Montana.
But so the government goes immediately, relatively early, into more debt because we still had debt left over from the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
And what did Washington use to try to help pay off some of that war debt? Putting a tax on what? Whiskey, which we talked about. So, so again, these
whiskey
things
for the men, beer for the horses.
And these same things that we deal with today, American expansionism, we talk about American imperialism, we talk about taxation for no good purpose at all other than to fund or pay off wars. This stuff has been going on literally since our country came about, and these are just more examples. So after the Louisiana Purchase, we have the Lewis and Clark expedition, which was a fairly expensive effort, albeit for science.
Wait, you mean they didn't do a GoFundMe for that?
Call it,
hey guys, who wants to send these two jackholes over to the Pacific Ocean?
Right. Just think of it as NASA for the early 1800s. we have to explore. We have to see what's out there, and we should. So
you're saying that Jeff Bezos privately funded his own version? Oh, wait, that wasn't privately funded. He did it with all kinds of government grants.
Right. But it would have been called Wagon Train X.
Yes.
Yes, it would have been. So that's kind of...
I'm just wondering if Wagon Train X could be some kind of video game that parodies Oregon Trail. Like maybe you can't get the licensing rights for the name Oregon Trail, so you just Wagon Train X. And then people, I never played the first 9 versions of this. Because
gosh.
X is also Roman numeral for 10.
Yeah. So we had some other things that happened, but, as we've talked about, I will say that, after looking at the first few we've talked about, Jefferson... not so bad from a liberty point of view. Not as bad.
A much better philosopher.
I think that's the best thing that came out of this conversation, Darryl. I think that was really accurate.
Let's just jump down to some more, what I consider to be interesting ratings here. Andrew Jackson, number 15, who also known for The Trail of Tears.
Yeah, but Andrew Jackson
also getting the U.S. Federal government out of debt for all of 47 seconds.
Right, and he was a big opponent of the idea of central banks. So yeah, he's definitely, from a liberty point of view, a mix.
Yeah. On the economic scale, he's good. The social and civil liberty scale, absolutely horrible.
Yep.
JFK 16th, Bush 41 at 17, McKinley, who we spoke of earlier, came in at 19, Cleveland at 24, Ford, who a lot of people say he's the accidental president because he's the only guy that never got elected to the vice presidency that became president. He was never elected to either president or vice president. He was appointed vice president after Agnew resigned, and then he became president once Nixon resigned.
That was a great time because, what do you do when you have to get rid of your corrupt president, Nixon? So I guess we have to fall back on Spiro Agnew, who had been known in the state of Maryland as the most corrupt politicians for decades. So he wasn't going to work.
Calvin Coolidge, 28. Rutherford B. Hayes, 29. He's kind of just one of those mediocre guys to where it's oh, yeah, he was president at some point.
Right.
Garfield, not the cat, 34. Tyler, 37. Fillmore. Millard, not Mallard. Mallard is the cartoon. Millard, Fillmore, 38. Harding, 39. And then we mentioned everything through 44, where again Trump came in dead last with a score of 123.34 or 12.34. Yeah, I just think it's just so funny that 1, 2, 3, 4, ha ha. Now it could be that that was the actual rating. I just think it's funny.
And those early presidents, we skipped over Adams. Adams will be most remembered by me for the Alien and Sedition Acts. That was when
the HBO docuseries where Paul Buscemi, or no, not Paul, the guy Paul Giamatti.
Yes,
Pig Vomit played John Adams.
Right, but I don't know how many people are familiar with the Alien and Sedition Acts, but basically what this said was, number one, you cannot do anything friendly towards the French because they are our enemy. If you're caught being even consorting with the French, you'll go to jail.
I'll only eat freedom fries.
So there's your alien part, and the French must be expelled. The sedition part was, should you dare to say anything not complimentary about our government, including any government official,
asterisk, except for the vice president.
Except for the vice president. If you say anything about the president, you're going to jail.
Yeah, and there are actually still portions of the Alien and Sedition Acts that never wound up getting repealed. They're still on the books today. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. plus some crypto tax news.
Here's a special message for those of you who owe the IRS at least $10,000 or more in back taxes. The IRS has special programs in place that could eliminate or reduce your tax debt by thousands of dollars. Call the Federal Tax Management Helpline that has been set up for you, 800-503-8625. Stop the wage garnishments, levies, and tax liens now. Once you've qualified and enrolled, the IRS will stop all the collection activities against you. These unique programs have been allocated to help the economy and significantly reduce or eliminate your tax burden. The IRS is currently accepting reduced settlements and other favorable programs. You may qualify for substantial savings, so get the help you need. If you owe more than $10,000 in taxes, call for free information and to see if you qualify. Take down the number now for the Federal Tax Management Hotline, 800-503-8625. That's 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.68 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,348 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $45, and the average price of Bitcoin is $10,901. Antiwar.com reports, backed by U.S. drone strikes, pro-Saudi troops loyal to the southern Yemeni government attacked territory controlled by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula in the nation's southeast near Mukalla. General Faraj al-Bassani, the nominal governor of the province, claimed the army seized the Massini Valley in the course of the fighting. 27 were reported killed, including 8 soldiers and 19 al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula suspects. This area around the port city of al-Mukalla was seized by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula at the start of the Saudi-led invasion of Yemen in 2015. The invasion exclusively targeted Shiite forces and meant the Shiite Houthis could no longer defend the region from the advances of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. It was not until well deeper into the war that pro-Saudi forces started thinking to try to check al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's territorial gains, and even at this point, the group retained substantial territory across rural Yemen, areas not already readily accessible to invading armies.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports all 66 people aboard an Osman Airlines flight in Iran are presumed dead after the passenger plane crashed in the mountainous area Sunday. The ATR-72 aircraft crashed in the Dinah Mountains and disappeared from radar 50 minutes after embarking on a flight from Tehran to the southwestern city of Yasuj, according to an Instagram post made by the airline. A representative for the airline said, "Unfortunately, all the passengers and crew of this flight were killed. The aircraft carries 60 passengers, 2 hostesses, 2 flight safety personnel, personnel and 2 pilots. The flight departed at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday and crashed in Cohangen. 20 rescue teams were dispatched to the crash site, and 1 helicopter was forced to turn back due to poor weather conditions. The public relations chief for Osman Airlines said it would not be possible to confirm all of the deaths until the wreckage is recovered. He said, given the special circumstances of the region, we still have no access to the spot of the crash, and therefore we cannot accurately and definitively confirm the death of all passengers of the plane. Multiple flights out of Tehran were disrupted or canceled Sunday due to bad weather stemming from pollution-related fog.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
Reuters reports a Texas man who survived a deadly domestic attack hatched by his son is pushing the state to grant clemency for the condemned man, although it has never spared a death row inmate solely at the formal request of the victim's family. Thomas Bart Whitaker is set to be put to death by lethal injection on February 22nd for masterminding a 2003 plot near Houston that left his mother Tricia and brother Keith dead and his father Kent with a bullet wound near the heart. In the 31 states with capital punishment, district attorneys make the decision whether to seek the death penalty, balancing the punishment that they consider best serves society with the wishes of the victim's family. In this case, the local Texas prosecutor pursued death, and jurors decided Bart Whitaker deserves to be executed. His father, a 69-year-old devout Christian and retired executive, says if the penalty is implemented, it will only intensify his pain. After a 30-minute meeting with the chairman of the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles in Austin, Kent Whitaker said, "I'm going to be thrown into a deeper grief at the hands of the state of Texas in the name of justice." Whitaker says his son has been a model inmate and has provided letters from death row prison guards to back that up. According to the clemency petition, Kent Whitaker, his relatives, and his wife's family do not want Texas to execute Bart. The panel's decision is due on Tuesday, 2 days before the execution. If it recommends commuting the death sentence to life in prison, Governor Greg Abbott would make the final decision. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After decades of searching the cosmos, today NASA announced that what it was really looking for was right here on planet Earth all along.
For years, we've foolishly chased after comets, moons, and stars. Outer space may be beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as the smile of a child, nor as sublime as a good bottle of wine shared among friends. Our search ends where it began, here on this big blue marble.
Astronomers say that while their telescopes were pointing at Mars, they never even noticed the planet that was right in front of them. NASA now plans to appreciate what they already have. The agency's latest report, entitled "Wonder is Everywhere: Finding the Beauty in the Everyday," calls for further study of the little things that truly give life meaning.
Warm rain on a summer day, the smell of pine trees, touching the worn paper of your favorite book, that's what's always made us happy, not some asteroid a million miles away.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Melanie.
And, you know, tax season is coming up, and
that means Melanie's busy.
Yes.
That does mean that Melanie is busy, and we'll talk more about why that is. But it also means that people are, you know, trying to figure out if they owe, how much they owe, what their various sources of income or capital gains might be.
Yeah, and maybe you're one of those people that got into cryptocurrency, and we applaud you for doing that. We think it's a great way. There's a lot of great choices out there, and we see
are
it
big
as
fans here.
Big fans. It's better money.
Big fans, the greatest fans. You're not going to find fans that are more big or great than us.
Crypto is going to be huge.
It already is huge.
It is huge, and it's getting bigger.
Chris, me and you both brought in similar versions of a story here.
Yeah, but with all these people buying cryptocurrencies and then selling them, man, the capital gains, when you think about it from a tax point of view, Melanie, I mean, it's got to be a significant amount of money. If you bought Bitcoin, $100 worth of Bitcoin a few years ago, and now it's worth $10,000, and you get out, you sell it. I mean, is that just simply, $9,900 in capital gains you should be reporting taxes on?
Yeah,
I'm putting her on
we're
the spot.
gonna fight about should, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So,
No. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Does the government expect you to?
Right. According to the IRS rules and regulations, are they going to say this is something you have to wind up putting online, fill in the blank?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And
so
you mentioned capital gain, and I want to talk about that for just a moment, because this is one of those interesting things to where you have at least two different federal government agencies that say that cryptocurrency are different things.
Right.
So you've got FinCEN, which is the financial crime something
crime
that
network,
says
blah, blah, blah.
cryptocurrency is currency, and therefore if you do certain things with it, you must give us a bunch of money and fill out a bunch of papers to be able to do the thing.
You have to be registered as a federal money services business, an MSB,
to do certain things.
Right.
And you've got to jump through a bunch of hoops and hurdles. And I started looking at this stuff, and the first thing was, what is your routing number?
Yeah.
Well, you only get those if you're a bank. And so are they saying that anybody doing these things are banks? And it just made no sense. And then the IRS wound up saying cryptocurrencies are like gold and silver. They're commodities. You pay capital gains and capital loss.
Right. When you do that.
FinCEN doesn't regulate companies that sell gold and silver.
No, they don't.
So is it commodity or is it money? And the answer is yes, depending on who you ask.
And I will posit that for your own keeping out of a cage, most people will just simply default and say, well, for tax purposes, what's the IRS say? Because if I don't do that right, I'm going to get in trouble. But
that's a good speculation. But the articles that we're seeing is people aren't doing this.
And I think there's a couple different reasons for it. So, if we were to take a poll of our listeners, we'd probably get a lower number than is representative of the United States. But a lot of people do fill out 1040, 1040A, 1040EZ, and they pay their federal income taxes, and they report their income, and they probably a lot of them report their capital gains. But in the world
how many of them report their income from illegal activities?
Well, that's a requirement,
which
Darryl.
Is on line 21.
You got to fill that one out too. But the same thing applies to cryptocurrency. So what percentage of people do we estimate actually paid capital gains tax on their crypto earnings?
I've got numbers in front of me, and trying to do the math, I can't fraction that far down.
Good, but this story does a good job of talking about it. It says fewer than 100 out of 250,000 citizens, or 0.04%, who have filed federal tax returns this year to date via personal finance service Credit Karma, reported cryptocurrency transactions to the U.S. Internal
February.
Revenue Services. Right.
But that's an absurd statement.
Well, 100 out of 250,000.
250,000 have already filed. Only 100 of them claimed capital gains for cryptocurrencies.
That might be only the people that have capital gains. First of all. Second of all, didn't it say through specifically a do-it-yourself?
No, through Credit Karma.
Yeah, which you do yourself.
Yeah, it's filled out online.
So of the people who use the simplistic software who filed before February,
right? So far,
I would expect that.
And I would also expect that number to be ridiculously low, because cryptocurrencies, despite how much we talk about them on this show and how involved many of our listeners are in cryptocurrencies, it is not an everyday thing. Your average family does not have a bunch of money in cryptocurrency.
Maybe. The very next sentence from Reuters, and I do have an article from Reuters here, they said this, again, the 100 people out of 250,000 who have filed claimed any kind of capital gains for cryptocurrency. This despite that same company, Credit Karma, showing that 57% of Americans surveyed wound up saying that they had capital gains from cryptocurrency.
That does not follow.
From cryptocurrency?
Yes.
That would indicate like a 57% market penetration by crypto.
57% of people don't know if they have capital gains. Second of all, the fact that they own crypto, which is the question that they're answering, regardless of what was asked, does not mean they have capital gains this year.
Sure.
And if they do, it might be that they said to themselves, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to do my own taxes because I have complicated crypto gains.
Yeah, possible. Absolutely.
I mean,
those are all good points, yeah. I think the real question, and what these articles are trying to drum up is, are people who own cryptocurrency more likely to report their capital gains or less likely to report their capital gains?
Well, so anything that's not already reported is less likely to be claimed. That's that is almost a tautology.
Right. So if you don't get a 1099 or a W-2 or one of these other forms with some letter number combination on it saying, here's things that we've told the IRS you have.
Right.
Chances are you're also not going to tell the IRS you have those things.
Right. But if you trade with any of the major exchanges, Coinbase comes to mind. If you had significant...
Coinbase has been sending people 1099Ks, which is really weird.
Really? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So what's the difference between a 1099 and 1099K?
Well, a 1099 is a group of forms, so... That's an incoherent question.
Like the family of
But most people,
forms.
when they're talking about 1099, they're talking about 1099 miscellaneous, which is what you get when you do. It's the
I work for
contract
somebody.
form of a W-2.
Okay, so I did a paint job for Chris. He paid me $1,000. He then gives me a 1099 miscellaneous.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So...
And what's the K?
The K is what you would get from PayPal or Square or Amazon through a seller account, where somebody who provided you merchant services is telling the IRS how much income you have.
Right.
It makes no sense to me that Coinbase is sending those out. I don't know what Coinbase's position is.
But Coinbase does provide merchant services. So if I, as a business... and I do have a business, and I do use Coinbase, full disclosure, if I wound up doing a certain amount of business through Coinbase, then it would make sense for them to do that 1099K,
okay, so if they
saying
also,
they provided merchant services for me.
So if they also do merchant services, then that makes sense. But they're sending out 1099Ks for capital gains.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, maybe we'll dig into that a little bit.
We'll dig into that, plus your calls and thoughts. Welcome, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. 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 What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Core and your Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Melanie.
And we're talking about taxes and the fact that, according to a report from Reuters, citing information released by Credit Karma, very few people that have or might possibly have cryptocurrency capital gains are actually reporting them. And Melanie, you were saying that there's some strange things going on in that regards as far as whether people may or may not actually know that they have capital gains. And you know a thing or two about doing taxes because, well, that's something that you do as a profession.
Yes. So I do taxes, I do bookkeeping, which is basically tax prep if you're doing it right. I have a lot of people right now who have Bitcoin or crypto gains that the state already knows about because they got it to 99K for some reason, or because it's on some other exchange that's reported, or they got busted with the wallet in whatever way. So that's not so. And it's a lot of times somebody, they have a W-2 job, they file themselves every year, and then now they have 100,000.
I've got something that's more complicated than just putting something into a thing and pressing enter.
Yeah.
I need help, and you can be that help. They don't have to be physically located in New Hampshire.
There's 4 states I can't do, and I'm never going to memorize them. One of them is California. The other one is not New York. I was surprised by that.
Aww.
But I can do New York, which is good because New York's close, I guess.
Yes.
Eventually, I'll probably get all of them. But
and you
right
can
now,
wind up helping those crypto millionaires, and you can actually get paid in crypto.
yes.
And where can people find out if they want to hire you, Melanie, to do their taxes or their bookkeeping?
It's freetalklive.tax. I know.
Would be tax.freetalklive.com. It would be something.freetalklive.com.
Okay, it's tax.
Tax.freetalklive.com. That's tax, tax.freetalklive.com. Let's go to the phones where we've got Ratspeed, who is listening via the Discord, calling in on the call-in line. Ratspeed, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Melanie. How are you? Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, real quick, I had some thoughts about this when you guys were talking about how it's a little bit difficult to try to even define what cryptocurrency is, and it rang a bell with me. It's the same thing, and Melanie, I did warn you on the Discord chat, all roads lead to porn.
Okay.
It did remind me.
Is this Rule 34?
No.
Okay.
This is the I know it when I see it.
Right.
Unless you consider laws to be obscene, this is more of a legal PG thing. So back a few years ago, federal regulators introduced a new law that said that websites who hosted porn had to have a certain disclaimer that states that all actors on here are above the age 18 and we have their information, their IDs, and they've been paid and blah blah blah. So basically for all of the established porn websites. And how many of the sites that I'm not asking anyone specifically, but just hypothetically, how many sites out there actually have this disclaimer, or how many people actually pay attention to this disclaimer in the first place?
I would imagine very little people pay attention to it.
But do tall people?
Yeah, just peer-to-peer. I'm talking about, people trading pictures or anything online, even music. We could even go into the copyright thing, even music, file sharing. When you get into taxes, all of a sudden we're dealing with internet money. So how do you define something that defies law? Because it defies previous descriptions of whatever paradigm that we thought we were living in.
Usually when this matters is when you have a Coinbase account with $7 million in it, and they send you a form, and they send a form to the IRS that says, hey, this person has $7 million in Bitcoin. Or they find your... And it's usually that. It's not usually anything else. Sometimes it is. So kind of at that point, you have an entity that you're dealing with kind of agreeing openly that you're dealing in crypto and agreeing that they're going to send a form to the IRS. So that kind of sidesteps the issue. But at the end of the day, most people aren't going to get taxed on Monero or...
Right.
Or things that they buy.
In other words, right now, they're only going after the big cats. They're going after the people that have lots of money, so that way they can get the most income from that. Because of course, it's nationalized.
Yeah, just like our federal income tax when that started with the 16th Amendment.
Exactly.
Right. It's only going to be on the very wealthiest people.
Well, it started under the Tyrant Lincoln and then wound up ending and then wound up being redone.
Right. But when they did it, with the 16th Amendment, they basically said, it's only going to be on people that make the equivalent of like $500,000. Actually, I think it was $500,000 per year, and their income, and it'll only be taxed at like 2%. I wanted to answer your question that Melanie answered slightly differently. And you said, how can you tax something that is just sort of created and it's just out there? It's sort of part of the internet. And the answer is, when it comes to the IRS, any way they damn well feel like it.
Right.
You're not, there is no rational answer for this, and there is no logical or liberty-minded answer. The answer is that they think that they can squeeze one more frickin' drop, one more dollar out of you, they're going to come up with a way to do it.
And it doesn't even, they'll squeeze $1 out of you when you didn't even get $1 because they tax barter as a capital gain or a capital loss. So if I do work for you and you give me supper, then we have to figure out what the value exchange is. And then at the end of the year, one of us had a capital gain. What was it?
Yeah.
They're failing to recognize something very fundamental about cryptocurrency. If it actually is a currency, what nation does it belong to? What jurisdiction does it belong to?
Right, so they're not claiming it's currency, though. They're
the
claiming
IRS
it's
says
an
it's
asset.
commodity, like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, a pile of dirt, that sandwich that I wound up earning for doing your yard work.
But if they would,
that's the only thing that they can define it as. That's the only thing within their paradigm that they can define it as. What they don't realize
to
is
make
that this
money
is
off
a
of.
global. Yeah, this is a global currency. In other words, they have no jurisdiction over something that's international like that. They would have to make.
They claim jurisdiction on things anyway.
Jurisdiction is kind of about who has the most tanks.
Right, but also to your point, I keep coming back to this fact. I believe that the IRS declared this to be a commodity because if it's just currency, if it's money, how do you actually make a lot of money taxing that? How do you?
That's why the IRS considered it a commodity.
If dollars are just flowing around, go ahead.
By calling it a dollar or a currency, they would be acknowledging the fact that it actually is a competing currency versus gold, which is something that they've already learned how to control.
There's a few reasons why they didn't want to do that.
We'll be back. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com. Virtual care anywhere.
1 out of 4 people listening to my voice right now could die from heart disease. This could be your last year, and you don't even know it because you don't know the early warning signs. If you think you're safe because your cholesterol levels are normal, think again, because studies show that 75% of heart attack patients also had normal cholesterol levels. Let me introduce you to Strauss Heart Drops, a world-famous heart and brain formula made in Canada. It's time-tested and will give you clinical results in 90 days or your money back. Learn more at signsofheartdisease.com. They are shipping free this month.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the story that's come in from multiple sources about the low number of people that are actually declaring capital gains on cryptocurrency on their federal...
The low number...
Go ahead.
Low number of people who are using Credit Karma to file their taxes who have capital gains on crypto.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's just say, do you mind if I read just this little bit left and we'll have the whole article done?
Well, let me get through what I was going to say first.
Ahead.
You can find news not only about this, but all other things related to cryptocurrency at news.bitcoin.com. One of the headlines that was posted just a couple of hours ago, Spain is actually considering tax breaks for blockchain and crypto firms. Another thing is the ICO scam train arrives in Sweden. So you can find out about those or all kinds of stories. Again, news.bitcoin.com.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as you point to me, I immediately lose my story on my tablet because my laptop has died, and I can talk about my laptop's battery dying and all this other stuff.
And then your tablet died,
But that's how I fill time until I get the story back up, which I have now. The IRS started providing guidance for taxation of Bitcoin in March 2014, treats cryptocurrency as property. As such, the IRS considers the purchase, sale, trade, and mining of cryptocurrencies as taxable events. Independent cryptocurrency trader Brandon Williams told CNBC that it would be more reasonable for him to treat cryptocurrencies as currencies since property status is, quote, almost a deterrent in the pursuit of mainstream adoption, unquote. According to Williams, the tiny amount of cryptocurrency tax filings reported by Credit Karma points out, quote, the difficulty in accurately reporting your crypto gains and losses, unquote. Williams said that with more than 2 cryptocurrency tradings a day, it takes at least 3 or 4 hours every week to record trading gains and losses, taking into consideration volumes and volatility. So this is my big issue with it. Not just the fact that if you're trading, I bought Ethereum at $1,000 and I sold it at $1,100. There's $100 worth of crypto. My issue with it is because cryptocurrencies can be used as currencies, hence the name cryptocurrency. When I go buy a hamburger in downtown Keene at Local Burger, and I bought my cryptocurrency, my Bitcoin at $1,000 a Bitcoin, but then when I purchased the burger with Bitcoin when the price was $10,000, Melanie, in this hypothetical real-world situation that I find myself in, should I be reporting the capital gains that I received on buying a $7 hamburger when my
So you keep saying should, but the IRS would like you to report capital gains
if
on
he
your
wants
hamburger.
to avoid having some IRS agent come knock on his front door or send him angry letters.
Use Monero or don't publish your wallet address or claim your cap gains on your hamburger.
Right. But and
also keep track of all of the barters that you've done.
Right. And this is just an insane idea. And there's been some legislation that's gone through the U.S. House. I don't know where it's gone to, if it's gone anywhere at all. But a couple people said, for any purchases using cryptocurrencies under $600, those should be non-reportable events. My take is any purchase with cryptocurrency should be a non-reportable event.
Any purchase, comma, should be a non-report, or actually no comma, but just any purchase. So doesn't matter what you want to use Japanese yen, you want to use Canadian dollars, you want to use Australian dollars, you want to use Monero, you want to use Tiddlywinks. I don't care. It shouldn't be reported.
And it's so contrarian because arguably, if I bought a new television set with money that I had saved up 3 years ago,
yes,
my dollars are worth less than they are today.
Correct. And then when you sell the television on eBay because you want to, buy another TV, then that's a capital gain or a capital loss. Figure it out.
Right. But if that's the case, if you're saying that if cryptocurrencies rise in value, you expect me to report capital gains or losses, then you're saying that any...
So that's not what they're saying. They're not saying they rise and fall in value. They're saying they rise and fall in dollars, which is a different thing.
Because commodities aren't priced in themselves. A commodity, you can't get away with saying
my ounce of gold is worth
an ounce of gold.
Okay, so you're talking about economics, and this is the federal government.
I realize.
So there's the real world value, and then there's relative value and nominal value, and all kinds of different ways to calculate value. And the IRS is saying it's worth more now than it was 6 months ago. Give us money.
Right.
Let's go to the phones because we could continue discussing this. Let's go to John calling in from Norman, Oklahoma. 855-450-FREE. John listening to us via TuneIn. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
If I bought $1,000 in Bitcoin on February the 1st, and then on February the 8th, I traded them for some Monero, some Zcash, and some other coin. How do I know how do I know what the price was when I traded them?
Okay, so, and we're talking about February this year, so you're already into there's no more like-kind exchanges. Pick an exchange. There's exchanges you can go to.
What's a like-kind exchange? I've heard that term, but I have no clue what it means.
You trade property for a different kind of property, and there's no... If it's equal value, then there's no gain.
Okay. But you said that doesn't exist anymore, so you have to calculate a gain.
Yeah, so, there's all kinds of websites that publish.
And a lot of times, if you're using an exchange, they're probably going to have some record keeping on that.
Most do, but more to the point, isn't the like-kind exchange something that changed very recently?
Yeah, that was in the tax bill.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know you wrote a little bit about it online, but can you describe basically what it was before and now?
There's a thing, like-kind exchanges, you used to be able to trade any type of property for any other like kind of property.
So if I had an ounce of gold that I traded for X ounces of silver and it was, an even exchange,
then nothing happens.
Right.
But now
it was reportable, but it wasn't taxable.
But now I would have to figure out, this ounce of gold went up in value by $114.
Yeah, now it only
and then the silver went down and this and...
Yeah, now it only applies to land. So then what would happen now is it's essentially being treated as if you sold it and then rebought the other asset. Right. So when you get rid of
every transaction is taxable.
It's not even every transaction. It's more than every transaction, because if I trade Bitcoin Core for Ethereum, I'm being taxed on whatever gain I had on the Bitcoin Core.
Yep.
And then now the Ethereum, and then I'm taxed in the difference between the Bitcoin Core and the Ethereum, if there is one. And then now I have a shorter and new basis on Ethereum.
Unreal.
Yeah, so you're getting into really complex things. Go ahead, John.
How do you find out what the price is during the day on a Bitcoin at any given time?
So if you're doing something like day trading, you probably have to pay, and they know about it, you probably have to pay more attention to, like, it was at 2 o'clock or 2:30, and use an exchange and get those snapshots. But there are plenty of websites that publish prices like you would for any asset. Like if you sold gold, you go to an exchange that lists the price of gold.
I know that with Coinbase, and again, we've mentioned Coinbase numerous times. Full disclosure, I use them. They do keep some reporting of here's the value at the time that you received it or at the time you sold it. John, hopefully that answers the question. And I'm guessing that the exchanges where you provide them ID, they're keeping those records as well. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home? And you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-667-9035. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-667-9035. 800-667-9035. That's 800-667-9035.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now. Again, 855-450 free. We've been talking about cryptocurrency specifically because there are some articles that came out saying that based on the limited sample size that we have, a small number of people have...
Well, and it's not just a limited sample size, it's also a skewed sample size is the real problem.
Right, a limited and skewed sample size. Very few of the people in our skewed sample have wound up saying that they had capital gains from cryptocurrency, which is completely different from another skewed survey that we did based on a survey of asking 2,000 people that have used our service, how many of you have capital gains? So again, all of this data from Credit Karma, to where Credit Karma surveyed 2,000 people last year. 57% of that 2,000, so again, not a huge sample size, but public opinion polls done by Ipsos, they generally only survey about 1,200 people nationally, but 57% said that they thought they had capital gains, but less than 100 people out of 250,000 thus far have claimed any capital gains on their taxes, again, using Credit Karma.
Real quickly, I was going to say that the big story last year was, the IRS going after Coinbase and asking for all this data on individuals, and then they scaled it back. They wanted every single Coinbase customer.
We want everything on everybody, and Coinbase stood up and said no.
Right, but in the end, they said they settled for anybody who had traded more than $20,000 worth was out of that.
Right.
Now, the story that came out later last March was that out of all those people that had more than $20,000 in trading with Coinbase, which I'd say is probably a decent-sized number, 802 actually reported taxes on it.
Now, that's not that those people had $20,000 of capital gains.
Correct.
Just $20,000 worth of trades.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is if we look at the time frame of 2013 to 2015, which is what Coinbase was going after.
What the IRS was going after
IRS
from Coinbase.
Correct. The number sounds low to me.
Yes.
802 out of however many we don't know.
Well, but it could also be if people went to Coinbase, and if you went to Coinbase and bought $30,000 worth of Bitcoin, that's a $20,000 plus transaction. It's not taxable and it's not reportable.
Because it hasn't been sold or anything. Nothing, no second event happened. So I don't know. We may be right. I suspect that more people involved in cryptocurrency are not going to pay taxes on capital gains.
Right. And
that's probably true.
The reason I got into cryptocurrency is it's an alternative to the government printed money. And then there are also benefits. And we can continue talking here in a moment. And one of those benefits is you can save on things that you were going to buy anyway. Go to saveatpurse.com. And Save at Purse has made it even easier to save. Where used to it was kind of complicated to where you had to have an Amazon account. you didn't have to have Prime, but you just had to have an Amazon account. You would then put things into an Amazon wish list, import the wish list into Save It Purse, and then select the discount. Save It Purse has made it easier to where you just wind up finding the things using the search bar on their website. You can still use the Amazon wish list if you want to, but it's no longer a requirement to get those bigger savings. And you can save up to 33%. I have regularly saved between 15 to 25% on things. SaveAtPurse.com. Let's go to the phones where we've got Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, I was at the intersection where I stand on the corner, and I was.
Hold on. So what are you doing standing on a street corner?
Sarah, did you get a new job?
Well, I was crossing the street anyways, and then I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars turning a left on the red light.
I love how you counted to 5 like you were the Count from Sesame Street.
Oh, that was good. So you had 5 people that didn't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to take a left turn. Probably no traffic coming. Out of those 5, did they endanger anyone?
Well, you know what? They got the last one. The cars were proceeding. Obviously, the cars here, Albuquerque, they wait. They usually wait until like 3 cars run a red light. That's normal, but the 2 more squeezed in, so they were driving into the freeway, and so the last one just squeezed in, and then they got a couple of honks.
All right, hold on. So what it sounds like what you're describing here is that there were cars that were going through. The light was green. They weren't able to make that left turn while the light was green because oncoming traffic. The light then turns yellow. They still can't make the turn. It turns red. They're sitting in the middle of the intersection. And instead of sitting in the middle of the intersection like a dum-dum, they go ahead and get out of the intersection by finishing their turn. Is that what happened?
No, they have their own arrow.
Okay.
This one is that they got the yellow has their own arrow, so it's green, yellow, and red.
Yep,
Right.
that's how traffic lights work.
Well, not everybody. Some people, some of them.
They never go just from green to red. They always go green, yellow, red, unless there's some place where they've got like purple or orange or.
That is how every traffic light in the States works.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway.
Blue.
Describe to me again what's going on here at this traffic light. They've got a left turn arrow. Go ahead.
Okay, usually what I usually count is about 3 cars turning a red.
Okay, well, you usually stand on the corner and count the cars turning left.
Well, she's got nothing else to do.
Okay. So you typically count and 3 cars make it through before the light turns red.
Today I counted 5 turning a red. So this is like 7 years after all the red light cameras have been pulled out. But I stand on the corner trying to talk to people so we could call our new mayor.
Do you talk to them about red lights, or what do you talk to them about?
Well, you know what? We have a new mayor, so we might get our red light cameras back. And then we like, oh, here.
What makes you think that the new mayor is just going to wind up reinstalling red light cameras?
Public pressure.
They have to hear from us. They have to hear. That's what the whole point is.
This is
so you're hoping that he will do something. He's not given any indication that he will do the thing.
Sarah, this is Sarah's activism. She wants red light cameras, so she goes out. She volunteers her own time. She stands on corners and counts cars, and she's going to talk to people on the street and say, it would be much safer if we had these red light cameras back. Is that pretty much it, Sarah?
Right, and then I also met about 5 to 6 high school kids, Del Norte high school kids that got hit by a car. I met them standing on the corner.
Wow.
And I talked to people that almost get hit by a car. It says, don't you want a red light camera?
Hold on. So were you talking to them while they were trying to cross the street and then they got distracted and that's why they got hit by a car?
No, I always stand them on the sidewalk, but I always talk to the people that almost get hit by a car. But here's the thing, is that it doesn't bother them. They're like, well, I almost got hit by a car. I never got hit by a car. And the people that did get hit by a car, they still hate the red light cameras. That's what's amazing. I met a kid that got
Right,
hit by a
because the
car
red light
4
cameras
times.
are just a way for the local government to extort money from people.
Yeah, but you know what? You figure that if you're 23 years old, you got hit by a car by a fourth time. You would figure that I want them.
Okay,
Hold on. What 23-year-old gets hit by a car 4 times?
You need to either quit drinking and walking into traffic, or you need to pay better attention to crossing the street.
But his thing was that they had those in Los Angeles. It's all there it's there to make money. That's what came out of his mouth. And
Yes, that's what they
Because that is
exist for,
accurate.
is to make money. We've explained this to you numerous times, and I don't know how many more times we have to explain to
Every
you the
time she
purpose
calls,
of
that's all
red light
right.
cameras.
I'm always intrigued by Sarah's activism here, as she refers to it.
Yeah, but Darryl, did you get hit by a car 4 times?
I've never been hit by a car, but if I got hit by a car, I wouldn't keep standing in front of it, and I still wouldn't advocate for red light cameras because it's just a means of extortion.
If I'm a pedestrian...
I almost got hit by a train when I was 5 years old. I don't advocate for banning trains.
But you need cameras, Darryl, on the
No.
trains, by train tracks.
No.
The more cameras, the safer trains will be. I just
Sarah,
need to put
thank you.
a
Thank
camera
you for
on
the
your
call.
head, Darryl. Always a
No.
Darryl cam.
This has been Free Talk Live. We will be back tomorrow, but we are always online at freetalklive.com. And watch out for the trains.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, crypto,